Welcome to Manga Machinations! This is episode number 496. And this week we're doing a Manben Machinations. I'm Dakazu, and with me is Darfox8.
Hello, it's me, Darfox8.
And Morgana Santilli.
Hi there.
Happy 420, blaze it!
Woo! I don't do pot.
Yeah, it is for Tenny.
It is 420. I have consumed marijuana gummies or no, marijuana gummy and a marijuana brownie like once each in my life. And each time I just become really surly. So I avoid pot.
That is funny.
Yeah, I get really grouchy. I think I don't like not being able to focus.
Uh-huh.
I have enough of that going on in my brain already, thanks.
Well, smoke them if you got them.
And more power to you.
Chew him if you got him. Vape him if you got him.
Darfox, I'm sure you have a hilarious marijuana story for us. I'm joking.
Me? Like, no, I don't. I've never smoked.
Dakazu can't even get it out. Dakazu was laughing too hard before he could even make the joke.
Yeah.
No, I'm sober. Weed makes me paranoid, so I don't really partake anymore.
Yeah.
I like how none of us are able to fit the stereotype of just chilling out with weed. We're either like angry or paranoid.
Yeah, no, it does not chill me out.
But 420 aside, welcome to our podcast. Essentially, we are a book club for manga. And this week, we're doing another Manben episode. So we're going to be talking about Naoki Urasawa's Manben in the main segment. But before we get to that, I want to kick it off with a reminder that you can help us by buying us a coffee. Support Manga Machinations by going to ko-fi.com/mangamac and buying a coffee so we can buy more manga for the podcast. Darfox has a little graphic up on our stream because we are streaming our recording live on YouTube, youtube.com/mangamactv. Yeah, right now we're working toward Land of the Lustrous retrospective. So make sure to buy us a coffee to help support us so we can reach that goal. Since I just mentioned YouTube, I also want to mention that people should check out the Manga Mac Watches new YouTube channel that Darfox made. Darfox has been busy putting up recorded episodes of a bunch of stuff. What do we have up there currently? The Adventure of Dai, Oblivion Battery, and the Fable.
Mm-hmm. And this weekend, I will start uploading Vivi Fluorite Divine Eye song.
No. Vivi Fluorite Eyes song.
We just call it Vivi because the name is kind of long and nonsensical. But it's like it's a pretty cool science fiction show.
No.
And it's just beloved by everybody. Mm-hmm. Just like universally accepted as like really cool television. You know.
I'm sensing some discord.
This is the one you're gonna watch if you want like fireworks, because like all the other ones we're watching, we're like, yeah, this is cool. I like it. I want to see the next one. And Vivi Dakazu's like, what is this show? Well, what's happening here? Oh, is this about singing? Am I gonna have to listen to bad singing?
I don't even complain about the singing.
No, I mean,
I'm not gonna mention what happens in like. What is it, episode 6 or something that we watched?
Something like that. Yeah, we got Butch Banks.
I started losing my mind. Okay, yes. You got to go to the YouTube and you gotta, queue up our YouTube video along with like the episode of VV to see why I'm freaking the fuck out. As a tease, yeah. Yeah, I hope more people check that out.
Yeah. So it's a fun time.
Not to crash our spiel here, but my daughter came in and wants to know why Darkbox isn't waving to her from YouTube. So, Dar, I think you got to wave.
I'm waving. I'll wait for the next.
It's gotta be on a delay. It's gotta be on delay.
Yeah, give it a second.
I'm gonna wait for about a minute.
While Dar does that, I'm gonna say hello to John in the chat. Hi, John. Thanks for joining us.
She's giving you peace signs now, Dar. Hi, John.
What's up, John?
Did you just take a picture of your... You used the camera to take a picture of your webcam that you're streaming on.
Because there was a kid watching, I just wanted some sort of visual stimuli, something, you know?
Oh my god!
I got like a fidget toy thing. It's pretty cool.
She's gone
boy.
now.
Okay.
She's going to bed. You're off the hook.
I'm only entertaining adult viewers now.
Okay. Moving along from our coffee, I want to give a better explanation of our episode 500 giveaway that we're doing. So episode 500 is coming up. We're all excited about it. To celebrate, we're doing a manga giveaway. You can win a collection of the manga Panorama of Hell, Invisible Parade, From This Flame, and maybe Children of Mutan.
Looks like Children of Mutan.
Yeah, hopefully Children of Mutan, because I think it's out of stock, so some of these titles might be switched. We decided there would be one winner that would win all of these, instead of trying to figure out how to divvy them all up. So yeah, one person can win a collection of really Manga Mac coded manga.
Yes, there are type of books.
Mm-hmm.
And we want it to be your type of books as well.
Yes. To enter this giveaway, we ask that you write a review for our podcast. You can write it over on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcast, maybe on a podcast app like Podcast Addict. And then send us an email over to mangamachinations@gmail.com with the subject title 500 Giveaway. And then let us know where you posted the review. And then you will be entered into running. So far, we have 0 entries. So you have a high chance of winning. If one person enters and actually does this, guess what? 100% chance of winning.
Guaranteed.
Currently, right now, this award is not limited to anywhere in the world. Hopefully, we'll keep it that way. We'll have to see with international shipping rates and stuff like that. We'll try to make it work. But yeah, again, if you want to enter, please rate us a review and then send us an email to mangamachinations@gmail.com with the subject title 500 Giveaway, and then you will be entered. So we'll make sure to plug that. We'll probably make some social media posts about this giveaway as well. So yeah, look forward to that. Episode 500 is coming up very soon. Okay, let's go along to some What You Been Reading. Darfox, I'm going to start with you this time. I keep starting with Morgana.
Who, me?
Yes, you. Do you want to talk about the movie you saw?
Yes, I do want to talk about the film I watched. When was it? Thursday night. I went to go see Spy Family Mission White. I think
Code White.
Code White. It's a Spy Family movie, if that wasn't obvious. And this is very much kind of like anime movie, non-canon, random adventure. Go somewhere else that doesn't influence the story and just have like a vacation somewhere. But it's pretty fun. You get a lot of the stuff you really want with Spy Family, which is mostly like Anya doing weird schemes with her like baby brain and trying to figure things out, and getting like shocked when she realizes what's at stake and what's happening. The best part of the movie, and I'll give vague spoilers for it. I won't go deep into it, but the very best part of the movie is a sequence where Anya really has to go potty, but she feels that if she does go potty, it might be the end. And that's all I will say. So it's an extended sequence of this toddler trying her best not to shit her pants. It's really
That's
really
the
good.
plot of Spy Family Code White. Wow.
Yep.
That this feels very relatable to my life.
Yeah, it might cause some trauma if you watch this one.
Yeah, that's the thing about Spy Family. It's really fun. Like my husband and I like to watch it together, and it's like, I mean, obviously it's ridiculous and not like a very good example of family life, but there's definitely parts of it where we're like, Anya is our kid.
Yeah.
She's just weird and and it's probably because she's a typical 4-year-old, which is how old my daughter is. Just weird, makes some weird connections, weird ideas, and like, yeah, and I see it more and more as my daughter's becoming a little bit more aware of the world around her, just coming to strange conclusions about things.
Yeah, and in this film they go to Frigid, I think is the name of a country that's kind of like vaguely I think Russian coded, so it's very cold. So like it really it's like that thing that, again, they do in anime movies where like it really has new costumes, new designs because they're wearing like winter clothing, and it's pretty fun. But basically they're trying to there's like a cooking contest at the school. Part of the main Spy Family plot is that Lloyd, the spy man, he's trying to infiltrate like the super elite school to access this guy who's like only makes appearances with like the school's elite or whatever. And this cooking competition is another way to earn one of those stars that's like a merit star for Anya. So Lloyd goes all along. He's like, well, we gotta go figure out how to cook this pastry that's native to this one country. So we're going to this country, and then shenanigans ensue, and then there's a plot by secret military types happening in the background. But none of that's really important. What's important is Anya trying not to poop her pants.
Obviously.
But yeah, it has like all the there's very little Frankie in this movie, just a tiny bit of Frankie. So if you're like a
That's too
huge
bad.
yeah, if you're like a huge Frankie mark, he has like one or two scenes that are pretty fun. There's a little bit of is her name Midnight? Is that her name? The the other spy lady that's like really into
Oh,
Lloyd. There's some of her. But otherwise, it's just you're getting like the really fun character bits with Anya and Yor. Yor has a lot of like fun stuff. I don't, I'm not like I haven't read that much Spy Family, but is Lloyd kind of like the most boring character in Spy Family?
kind of, yeah.
Yes.
He's basically kind of the straight man who's holding everything. Like it's kind of like hanging off of him. He
Yes.
has the mission, but like it's like whatever. Lloyd is like, who cares?
Yeah, like I like him, but I watch it for Anya and Yor and Bond to some degree.
Oh yes, of course, yeah. But Bond is really fun in this movie.
Borf?
Nice. Borf. Very cool. I think we'll end up watching it for the podcast, maybe.
Yeah, I'd like to see it.
Yeah, it's definitely worth watching, and we could have fun talking about it. I do have a brief write up from Amber, who couldn't be here today because she's busy going to a different country that's coded to learn a secret pastry recipe. You can just say that I enjoyed it and it captured the humor / essence of the series well. Also, that I thought it did a good job of explaining the core and side characters with narration for people unfamiliar with the series. And finally, I want the Frigis Mimir recipe, or Mimere. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but that's the pastry that they're talking about. Yeah, she mentioned explanation. This movie actually works really well for like a first timer because like the first 15 minutes of it is kind of like a brief explanation of the whole premise of the series with introduction to like all the characters. So it's one of those.
Yeah, I mean, they usually have to do this if they're, I assume it's, this movie is marketed toward fans of the manga, but also, kids. And so, parents who don't read the manga take their kids to go with them to watch it so they can enjoy as well. Makes sense. Did you watch it in a sub or dub?
Dub.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, unless we can't help it, we usually buy tickets for the sub viewing. I think the dub was on Friday. We watched it on Thursday.
Was that you posted a picture? Was that theater really empty?
Yeah, it had 2 other people, so 4 people total, in the theater.
Fuck.
So, but I think this one was a little bit wider release. I think a lot of theaters had this movie. I didn't have to see it in this theater, so it's possible they just went to other theaters because there's a couple other theaters near me that are a little trendier, but more expensive. Usually just decent turnout for anime movies, and I think that's because all the weebs that are interested are funneled into like the very few theaters that are like showing it, and this might have been a separate, a different scenario than that.
Are you gonna do a video for the YouTube channel with Amber?
We thought about it, but we were both kind of like too tired and lazy to do it. So yeah, I was super tired Thursday. This is shameful admission. I fell asleep during the movie a couple times, but like it isn't anything against the movie. It's just I didn't fall asleep during any of the plot stuff. I fell asleep at the end when the action was happening. I just like conk. I was struggling to stay awake at the end, but I was just really really tired, and it's just I've still been recovering.
Funny.
Yeah.
All right, very nice, Star. Oh, we got a comment from John in chat. They're reading Dorohedoro and loving it, and we're to blame. That's nice to know, John.
Brings a twinkle to our eye.
Mm-hmm. Get hyped for the second season of the anime that's actually happening. Holy cow.
Shocking.
And cry a tear for the Yuri on Ice movie that will never come out.
Yeah, that's I wasn't really following that news. That's a bummer. Like I just assumed that would come out eventually.
I knew that was never going to happen at this point, man.
I don't know. Like what was it initially delayed? Was it like a COVID delay initially?
Yes. Like it got delayed for a bunch of reasons because Mappa was busy with like a bunch of other projects, and then COVID happened. And then that anime came out in like 2017 or something, or 2016. It's old. Yeah, it's almost a decade old at this point. Like it doesn't make financial fiscal sense anymore to try and like release that movie. And it's a shame because, you know, people love Yuri on Ice, but they missed their window. It sucks. Anyway, anything else, Star Fox?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay, let's move along to Morgana.
I have something. I have a couple somethings.
Oh!
I can be brief about the first one. I read a yen book that is coming out in May. It's volume 1 of She Likes Gays, But Not Me. The title, I feel like the title of some of our LGBTQ books feels like, I don't know, like a trap. Like we're luring somebody into getting mad about something. But this is the story of a high school student who, I guess I should preface this by saying I work for Yen. Everything I'm about to say is my own opinion and does not reflect necessarily on the views of Yen Press. But this is a story about a teenage boy who is gay and closeted. He is in a sexual relationship with an adult man who is a father who probably lusts after his own son. And he finds our teenage protagonist.
Wait, did you say the partner is a father that lusts after his own son?
Mm-hmm. Oh, listen.
She said probably.
Probably, yeah. That's what our protagonist assumes. So, bear with me, okay? Our protagonist June runs into a classmate in Shibuya, I think. She is buying BL manga, and she is she's like, oh shit, like you found out my secret, my dirty secret. And he's like, yeah, it's weird, I guess, but like this is just pure fantasy anyway, it's not really real. And over the course of the next few weeks, because he's found out her secret, she's like, hey, let's hang out. I need your help to like go to this event to get some some things because they only give out like one per person or whatever. And she develops a crush on him, and they end up dating. Because
Wait, an actual crush?
Yes, because she does not know he's gay.
Yeah.
He's still closeted. He has not said anything to anyone, and he really wants to have what he believes is a normal life. He wants to get married and have a child, but he also wants to, enjoy his own sexuality, and so he's like, I'm so selfish, and I want everything. So this is a really heavy series. It's a total of 3 volumes. The first one, we're publishing in May. It's coming out. I think it's a really important manga because it is. So I always have mixed feelings about sad gays in media because it's such an easy thing, but I think this is a little bit more of a realistic take as opposed to the fantasy that we get in manga, which is usually BL stuff. This is a really complicated story about identity, and this kid grappling with who is he and what is normal. He also has a friend that he only knows online who goes by Mr. Fahrenheit. There's a through line of Queen, the band Queen, in here as well.
Yeah.
And which is, I mean, I love Queen, so this is like really great for me. Yeah, so he has this friend online who's HIV positive, who he talks to and is really close with, and that's like another kind of relationship that's really important to him, but he's never met this person in real life, right? So there's like a few different kind of people in his life who are pulling him in different directions or giving him different advice, and he's kind of he's like stuck in the middle of it all and trying to figure out what he wants and why. It's really dark, though. I will not. This is an 18+ book. I don't necessarily recommend it for anybody who doesn't like dealing with heavy topics. I mean, not just homosexuality. Like there's this relationship that he has with this adult man who it's not really criticized. And there's another adult who is like aware of it as well, as a woman who runs a lesbian bar. And that's not really like, it's kind of seen as like part of the culture too, for better or for worse. So I really liked it. I want to say that outright. The art is really nice. This is an adaptation of a novel, not a light novel, like a more, I guess, literary novel. It's really, really good. The art is really nice, but it is heavy. So I recommend it with that caveat that it's really not light reading. Don't go into the thinking like, oh, some BL or something. It's not like that. But it was good. So I know everything I said sounded like I'm not recommending
It sounds like a huge can of worms the way you describe it.
It is a can of worms, but it's like it feels like the kind of soul searching that a gay teenager might have to go through when they are trying to figure out what the best course is, especially in a culture that might be more conservative, right? More, and this, I say this of Japan, but there's also places here in the United States that's you really can't be out. So and some really interesting ideas about like what it is to be gay. Like at one point, Jun is telling his Mr. Fahrenheit, like, I just want to be normal. I want to be able to have like normal sex. And Mr. Fahrenheit is like, well, what do you think is normal? Like, if sex for procreation is what's normal, then sex with a condom is also not normal, like even if it's straight sex. So like there's a really interesting discussions about like what we push as normal and what society sees as normal or typical, and the kind of pressure we're putting on young people to kind of meet those ideals. So it's a cool book. Seamus might like it because it's depressing. It's teenagers being depressed and about stuff. He might also hate it because there's like, it's teenagers in general, but but I liked it. I really did. I really think it's good. I think it's a really important book.
Is there murder?
Not yet. I don't think there will be murder. I think there might be attempted suicide at some point. The cover of the second volume is literally the protagonist like flinging himself off a building, so
I'm gonna say Seamus will not like this. This falls more in the category of teenagers and their teenage problems.
maybe so.
As opposed to like teenagers with their teenage problems getting up to fucking murder.
Yeah, no,
which is what Seamus is into.
I don't know. It's not like there are adults involved though.
There are no particularly sinister children. I will put that out there. No sinister teenagers. Just a whole bunch of kind of dumbasses. Like the other guys in like the other male like straight men in the story, like Jun's classmates are like really dumb and say like really dumb shit about gay people. I'm like, do people talk like this? Is this real? And I realize that I live in kind of a vacuum because I have a bazillion queer friends and am on this tiny corner of the internet where everybody's queer. So, but yeah, I think it's a really good book, and I think it's a really good, really important book. So, and I'm going to pitch it at a webinar next week. So, to a bunch of librarians. So, yeah, it was really good. That's that.
Are you gonna read the rest? Because it sounds like you just read the first volume.
Yeah. So there are a total of 3. I know we've solicited the second one. I can't remember what's coming out. Maybe August. So I don't have access to it yet. I've had access to the first, the first volume so far. But yeah, I plan on reading the whole thing. I mean, my plans and what I actually end up are frequently not the same, especially at this point in my life. But I intend to read the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear your thoughts once you finish it.
Yeah, my a colleague of mine has read it and said that it does end positively. So that is something I'm holding on to.
He murders the girl.
I hope
positive
not.
ending.
Well, and here's the whole thing too is like he likes her. He cares about her. He's just not in love with her and can't be aroused by her. And that's something that he thinks is his own fault, basically. There's something wrong with him. It's a whole thing. But
this is basically I feel like we've read a lot of stories about men divorcing their wives in like middle age or even past middle age because they've been closeted their whole life. And this is kind of like a prequel to that, where this is like when they're first getting involved in that relationship and what are they going to do.
Yeah, I mean, Jun is having a conversation with his 40-year-old boyfriend, and he's like, talking about wanting a family and everything, and wanting to get married, and his buddy's like, yeah, I'm a coward because I can't be who I am. I have the wife and the son as kind of a
that you want to fuck.
Well, yeah, and that's a whole other.
Oh.
But he's not. He's fucking somebody else's kid. But that's beside the point. Yeah, I don't think he's supposed to be all of these characters are not necessarily supposed to be characters you aspire to. They are characters with, I think, a hint more realism than a lot of books that grapple with identity like this, or that deal with, again, most of what we have in English is BL, which is pure fantasy. So this ain't nobody's fantasy. It's terrible. It's not something you'd want to live, but it is really interesting to read and really kind of eye-opening. I did not plan on talking as much about it as I did. I thought about it, yeah, but there's it's kind of a lot to unpack. It's really good. I recommend it, and I do like it. The other thing, kind of also yen related, James and I started watching Delicious in Dungeon.
Ah, yes.
Yes. So we watched the first episode. And I was like, oh yeah, what'd you think? It's pretty good. I said, oh yeah, Marcel is like everybody's favorite. Also Senshi. And my husband goes, yeah, Senshi's my favorite. And I said, yeah, I know, because as we were watching this, I was like, oh right, there's a dwarf gourmand. This is going to be James's favorite character. My husband really likes dwarves, as far as fantasy characters go, and he loves to cook and make food. So Senshi is like a perfect perfect character for him. So we've only seen the first 2 episodes so far, but we're really enjoying it. My shame is that I have not read the manga, even though it's a yen manga. I've always wanted to. It's always looked really fun, and I'm really enjoying the anime, so I think they did a really good job.
Yeah,
that's
I've
a
been
Trigger
watching
show.
that with my wife.
That's a Trigger show that doesn't always look like a Trigger show. Sometimes it does.
Yeah, actually, when the credits were rolling last night when we watched the second episode, and I saw the Trigger logo, I was like, "Wait a second, what? This is Trigger?"
Yeah. There will be some episodes. I think like episode 4 looked really like out there. Like sometimes you see an episode that's like they're off model or whatever. They're really getting wild looking, which is fun in its own way. But overall, yeah, it's a really nice anime.
Are you watching in sub or dub?
Sub.
Because the dub Senshi is Pro ZD.
Oh, is it? That's funny.
Yep. He said it was his dream role, so he's super happy that he got it.
That's pretty exciting. Yeah, I don't really have anything against the dub. I would have watched it, but I think I'm just so like hardwired to watch subtitles when I watch anime. Is the VA who does Chilchuck in Japanese is that Killua?
It might be. Let me just double check.
Because we were watching, and I was like, this sounds like it might be Killua.
Yeah, I'm like 10 episodes in with my wife.
Is she enjoying it?
She does enjoy it, but she's been having headaches lately, and she does not want to hear dub, which is like
Yeah.
which is like fine. But then she's also like, I can't watch too many anime episodes because I get a head when I get my headaches. I can't read as well,
Yeah.
which makes sense. It is not the VA of Killua.
Man, it sounds just like her. I suppose it's probably a woman.
It is a woman. Her probably most famous role is Gopta from that When I Reincarnated as a Slime.
Which I have not seen, even though that's another yen title.
He's kind of like the comedy relief goblin.
Gotta have one of those. Interesting. Okay.
Wait, isn't that Naruto?
What? Comedy relief goblin?
Yeah, I thought that was Naruto. I seen a little bit of a reincarnated slime, and somebody said that person was Naruto, but maybe I'm smoking weed on 420.
Yeah.
It's not.
Okay. Sorry for the diversion.
Okay, very nice then, Morgana. Anything else?
Nope, that's it. I was surprised I got that much accomplished.
Okay, I need to talk about something that I should have talked about last week, but I totally forgot. Which is Parasite the Grey. This is the live-action Parasite adaptation? Loose adaptation, because it's its own original story, but it's a Korean production, so it's a Korean show. But it's based on the Parasite manga. Chris from Canada, our buddy, told me to check it out, and I did. It was 6 episodes. I watched the whole thing, and I thought it was pretty good. The CG for like the parasites is pretty good. It's not the best quality, you know. CG graphics or special effects, whatever you call it. But still very high quality. Definitely better than the Japanese live action Parasite movie. Ooh.
Yeah, those don't fare well usually.
And it's interesting because it feels like a remix of a lot of the plot threads from Parasite redone to make it into a engaging television series. And so it's the general premise is the main character is a woman named Suing. I'm going to butcher all these Korean names, by the way. I apologize in advance. But she gets parasites start falling in Korea, from the sky, just like in like the original manga, and start infecting people. And yeah, this woman gets infected, but not fully taken over because she was being attacked by a stalker at the time. And the parasite had to heal her body and was unable to, take over the head, like most parasites do. And instead of it being like Shinichi and Migi, or, Migi at the hand, Suin is like, it's like a Jekyll and Hyde situation. In fact, they named the parasite Heidi, as in, Hyde.
Oh, interesting.
And the parasite can only take over her body for like 15 minutes a day. Again, that was like a time limit thing that was introduced later in like the Parasite story. So like they've taken like all these elements and kind of remixed it. And the general thing is the parasites are gathering and building their own kind of community that's being led by a parasite leader. And so it's, Suin's trying to hide from the police while trying to, not get involved with like this parasite community that thinks that she's a parasite as well. It's kind of interesting. There's also a side character, which is like this kind of petty criminal. He's like the human like sidekick that's trying to like gets wrapped up in like the situation. And then there's also the Grey in Parasite the Grey refers to a special task force, police task force that is like led to hunt down and kill parasites. And it's led by this woman named Choi. So it was good, and the non-spoiler stuff is that like I enjoyed it and I think it's worth checking out. But I want Darfox to now put up a spoiler thing on our stream. And I'll tag this in like our show notes that this will be the start of like the spoiler section.
Un momento, engaging spoilers.
Because I want to kind of specifically talk about like some spoiler stuff that relates to like what I mean by the remixing of the Parasite plots.
We be under spoilers banner now.
Okay, very nice. So Suin, her backstory is when she was a child, she was being beaten by her father, and she reported her father. Also, the mom left her. So she's like a child of like just, bad stuff happening. And she thinks she's like, just bad things happen to her, including when she gets attacked by the stalker at the beginning of the first episode. She has a police officer that is kind of like a father figure. He's a detective. And he kind of finds out, like he figures out that like, oh, Suin is now like infected by a parasite, but they do the whole, pluck the hair test from the original manga.
Mm-hmm.
But what ends up happening is, at a certain point in the story, the detective gets killed and gets taken over by, like, the parasite leader. And so now, like, there's a lot of actors that have to act like, they're regular humans, like Suin, and then she has to act like her parasite side. So you see a lot of flex of, like, the actors. And then, like, it reminded me of like Shinichi's mother. How she gets taken over by a parasite.
Mm-hmm.
So that was replaced by like Suin and this father figure detective. Or like the task force coming in, like how the end of Parasite they have like the task force and the entire shootout at the municipal building against the mayor. There's
like
also
the big ball bearings.
Yeah. They fight with shotguns, and they explain all that too. It was interesting. Like the task force leader Choi is it's kind of similar to like the task force leader in like the Parasite manga. They're kind of like cold, and they're not like into killing, because I feel like in the manga like that character was like just into like fucking murder. But she her family her husband got taken over by a parasite and started killing people, and they captured the husband and subdued him. And like they have like the husband parasite in like this whole like metal helmet, and they call him the watchdog because he's like chained up, but he has a button to press when like other parasites are nearby because they sense each other. That's how they're using the task force to hunt down parasites. What was I gonna say? There's something else about like the story of parasites. Oh, yeah. There's a human who's conspiring with the parasites. In this show, it was a detective that was working with like the father figure detective. He was secretly helping like the parasites and working with them. And there's also the reason the petty criminal is involved. The petty criminal comes back to his home, and he figures out that his older sister is now a parasite, and his younger sister is missing. Eventually, he finds his younger sister like in a farm, hung up as food.
Oof.
And so like he's like, I'll fucking kill all the parasites, and that's why he's working together with Sui. It's more of an action based show, Morgana, because they want to have a lot of like fights between like the Grey, squad and the parasites. I think my biggest complaint about this show is a lot of the action was like shaky cam as they're following like an actor, and there's a lot of that. I was like, oh my god, every action scene is like they're following a character doing a bunch of action stuff behind them with a shaky cam, and I was getting kind of sick of it. But yeah, the way the show ends is they defeat the parasite leader. The petty criminal joins the task force. He's gone from petty criminal to actually like task force member to help hunt down more parasites. Suin is allowed to live in peace, but she might join the task force as well. Remember that thing we talked about with like you, Morgana, when you read Parasite for the first time, you thought it was going to be a story, or maybe it was Dark Fox. You thought it was going to be a story where Shinichi would eventually like become like kind of like a superhero and hunt down parasites.
Yeah,
but it wasn't really about that. The theme of it's kind of interesting. The theme of Parasite, I always feel, is like environmentalism, and they kind of mentioned that throughout this too. Humans are like the real parasites. They muddy up the planet. It starts out with like oil spilling and a bunch of like pollution stuff in the first episode, just to drive that home to the audience. I thought it worked well though. Okay, the thing that makes me laugh though, they put an Easter egg at the end of this show. Everything's been settled. Suin's living by herself, the petty criminals now in the task force. But then it cuts to a scene where Cholin's at like in a building and being led to a meeting with a parasite specialist. She enters this conference room and a Japanese man is like, "Hi, I'm Shinichi."
Oh my gosh.
And then it zooms in on his right hand that he's holding out to like shake. And so like, yeah. So they brought in Shinichi to the world of Parasite the Grey.
So could this be passed off as canon after like the events of Parasite? Did it seem like a kid, or did it seem like more like an adult?
He was an adult. They called him like a reporter and a parasite specialist.
Okay, so I think maybe pass it off as canon.
Yeah, I kind of enjoyed it. Like I said, I like the remixing, like the different elements. Shinichi having to go up against like the parasite that was mom, and here it was like Suin having to go up against like the detective that was protecting her at the beginning. It's a lot of that kind of stuff, and like I think I watched half of it in Korean and then half of it I watched with the Japanese dub. It's very good. So yeah, I would recommend checking out if you are a fan of Parasite. Maybe you're a little apprehensive about watching, like, it's not the actual, Parasite story. And like, they changed it up to be more of an, action TV show, but it was an entertaining action TV show.
Yeah, I mean, if it's well done, it's well done, right?
Yeah. Just watch out for that shaky cam, y'all.
Yeah.
Strap in. Don't fall out. Are we out of spoiler zone?
We are out of spoiler zone. I'm going to move on to one more thing.
Can I say something real quick?
Go ahead.
Netflix is like really hard for me to watch for some reason. There's multiple things I want to see on Netflix. There's the Avatar show, which I still haven't watched, the live action one. There's
Same.
this, and I know it's been out for a little bit, and I wanted to check it out as well. Like it's like this a weird inertia with Netflix that like I just don't feel like booting it up and watching something on Netflix. I don't know what it is. I really don't have any commentary on it. I watch plenty of other stuff on like Max and Crunchyroll, whatever.
I think it's daunting with Netflix because you have the whole season there. You're like, you don't look at it as like you're going to watch a single episode. You look and it's like, oh, all 10 or whatever episodes are here that I can just watch. And that's daunting.
I think the public opinion is finally turning on binge watching. I don't think it's
we're out of the pandemic. We don't have time anymore.
Yeah, it's not the most conducive way to release a show and have, because when you release it in binge watching format, you're gonna have people who watch all of it in one night. You have somebody who's 2 episodes in, you have somebody else who hasn't started yet, and you all meet together to have dinner, and suddenly you can't talk about it because then you're all at different points with the series, and it's weird. It's just like one episode a week is fine. That was it. Sorry, you could move on to what else you want to talk about.
I don't know if you remember, but a couple weeks ago I mentioned there was something I want to talk about, but I need to prep myself. I prepped myself, and now it's time to talk about a manga I read called En mo Yukari mo. En here means connections. This is a manga that is very kind of akin to pop life. The manga is about Ruri. She's in her 40s. She had a divorce. Her and her son Hiro are going to move back to her hometown and go live with her mom. But when they get there, it turns out her brother and her niece are also moving back into the same home. Her brother is having a... what did he call it? He's having a separation, but it's like a good separation or a positive separation. They don't really get into the backstory too much about like these 2 siblings who are each moving back home with their mom. And so, yeah, it's a story about these 2 siblings and their kids living with their mom all under one roof now. And it's cute and nice.
You mentioned pop life, so I assume there's no kissing cousins here.
Darfox.
Yes. Is there kissing cousins?
This is very ominous.
Guys, I read this manga and I really liked this first volume.
Okay.
And I was like, nothing bad happened here. It was just about, these siblings moving back in with their mom and trying to figure out like the space. They actually figure out it's a better idea for like the aunt and the niece to live in the same room and the uncle and the son to live in the same room. Because it's just easier for, getting changed and stuff. There's not that much space there. And the kids are, they're in middle school and they're getting along. And it's all nice. And I was like, I really like this. Who's this by? Yumi Unita.
Oh no.
Oh, who?
Does Morgana recognize who Yumi Unita is?
I think I do. Usagi drop?
Ding, ding,
Oh,
ding.
god damn it. Sucky Drop, Buddy Drop is also a yen book, so I'm gonna just not say anything else about it. Please continue.
I don't work for Yen Press.
Fantastic
doesn't.
book for 80% of it.
Yep.
So yeah, this is a new manga by the creator of Bunny Drop, and I was like, oh no. What do I do? Do I keep reading this, or is it gonna turn into cousins can get married in Japan? It's fucking legal there.
It might be fine.
It might be fine.
I am very intrigued by this premise. I like family stories like this, relationships between parents and children. And there are 10 million stories about step siblings getting busy, so whatever. Here we go again. But no, it might be fine. You're the only one who can tell us because it's only in Japanese, so
I really like this manga,
So
but I'm
wait,
so scared.
How many volumes is out so far?
There's 12 chapters out. So I think volume 1 came out a while ago and volume 2 might be out.
So the proverbial foot hasn't dropped yet, if there is one.
Remember Bunny Drop? Remember how that didn't drop till the end of that?
Yes.
Like,
You scared of getting hurt again?
yes, yes, I'm very scared of fucking getting hurt again, Dar. I've been betrayed once. I can't do it again.
Can we trust her?
No. So I don't know.
Okay, so like let's really just talk about what's worse? Is it worse marrying your non-biological daughter, or is it worse kissing your own biological cousin? We gotta make a stamp on this right now. We don't actually. I'm fucking with you.
but I think I have an answer anyway. I still think getting with your own non-biological daughter is worse.
Yes, because there's
Grooming,
a lot less agency involved.
yes. At least in this case, anyway, the cousins are the same age. Do I think it's a good idea? No. But
They're only insulting God.
Yeah, I mean, it's again not great, but of the things that could be going on.
I think I need to put this book down. And maybe wait till a couple years until it's finished, and then I'll go check.
Your heart can't handle it.
I don't want to get invested in something, even though how much I enjoy this manga. Because, like you said, Morgana, it's a family story about, like, close relatives, like, being together under a roof and working together to share a small space. And it's very cute, and that's very nice, and I really like that. But I'm in no rush to read this. I'll be fine waiting. I can come back when I know it's not going to push me off a cliff. Stab me in the heart, if you will, in the future.
So once it ends.
Yes.
So that's basically when you know for sure.
Once you get Seamus to read the Wikipedia page and tell you how it ends.
Basically. Okay, so that was my What You Been Reading. We can end that segment. Before we get to our main segment, let's quickly talk about next week. Seamus is not back next week, but he'll be back the week after. So, while Seamus is away, it's time to do something that he would probably not agree to. We got a cat-tastic triple dip lined up. Triple dip, and the theme is cats.
I mean, like, yeah, tastic.
Sure.
Hmm.
We're going to be reading the first volume of Yankees, Breakfast with My Two-Tailed Cat, and Nekogahara. I have only read one of these.
Same here.
But yeah, next week, cat-themed triple dip. Stay tuned for that. Okay, everybody, we're going to stop the stream here, take a quick break. When we come back, it'll be time to talk about some Manben. Stay tuned. Okay, everybody, we are back. It's time for our main segment. We're doing Manben Machinations, which means we're talking about Naoki Urasawa's Manben, his television show where he basically records a different manga artist who is the subject of each episode, records them and tapes them while they work, and then they review the footage with the manga artist, kind of an interview style, and Naoki Urasawa comments on their technique and different things that he notices. And they talk about making manga. For our first Manben Machinations, we did an episode where we watched the Manben Neo on Wataru Watanabe. He's the creator of Yowamushi Pedal. We watched that episode because it's available in English on the NHK website. And we also read the Yowamushi Pedal manga to talk about it in comparison. This time we're doing things a little different. We picked 3 older Manben episodes. They're not available in English officially, unfortunately, but you can find them on the internet. These are the episodes on Kazuhiro Fujita, Akiko Higashimura, and Shinichi Sakamoto. And you know what? I think we did an awesome job picking these 3 because there's a lot of things that we can talk about that are both similar with these 3 manga artists, and then some very different things about these 3 manga artists.
Yeah.
But yeah, since this is basically kind of like we had 3 episodes to talk about, we'll treat it kind of like a, I guess like a triple dip episode where we'll talk about through each one. Morgana. It was your first time watching all of these episodes, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So which one do you want to talk about first?
Oh, that's so hard. Before I pick, I want to say the one thing I learned from all of these is that I think every manga artist might be a touch insane.
Their own little flavor of insanity, but yes.
Just like, yeah, they're just... And I feel like I watched them in order of like most typical to least typical in some ways. Maybe we'll just go in the order that I watched them. I started with Akiko Higashimura, which is the first episode of Manben, so start there, I guess.
All right, we're starting with Akiko Higashimura. So Akiko Higashimura is a manga artist, born in 1975. What they say, she made her debut when she was 22 years old. We've read about her background because she made a manga about it. My so-called artist journey.
Kaku Kaku Shikachika.
Yes. We have retrospective episodes on that. Blank Canvas.
That's that one.
But yeah, we got to watch her as she draws her manga. She was working on Yukibana no Tora. It was her first historical manga. What if the Japanese warlord Kenshin Uesugi was actually a woman? It's a good manga. And yeah, Naoki Urasawa is basically commenting on how fucking fast Higashimura draws. It's kind of like the main theme. He's just like, damn, you're fast. I thought you were fast looking at those ink lines, but it was even faster. And then I started drawing faster recently too, after watching the footage. But yeah, Morgana, let's talk. You love Akiko Higashimura manga.
I do.
You were a guest on our podcast in the beginning, and you talked about Tokyo Taiba Girls. And then we did our Tokyo Taiba Girls retrospective. And yeah, we've read a bunch of Akiko Higashimura manga for this podcast. But what was it like to watch her draw it?
Oh, it's insane. I mean, again, they're all a little bit crazy. I think with her, what was really cool is, you know, we've read Blank Canvas, so I know how she got here, right? Like I've seen her put in the work, and they even talked about it too. Higashimura and Urasawa talked about putting in the work and getting to this point. Like if you do the work, you can kind of get to this point. I was fascinated to watch some of her kind of ability to like translate her sketches onto the final manuscript, and I was really impressed. Kind of toward the end, she just fudged a panel. Like, she just started drawing silhouettes. They was just there. She just sketched directly onto the manuscript page like it was no big deal in ink. It was cool to know that she still works traditionally. With more modern artists, it could kind of go either way. I had a feeling she did, but I don't think I knew for sure.
This was taped like a while ago.
You think she probably does digital now, or
maybe.
Maybe, but I'm sure that most mangaka at least do some digital, even if it's just touch up. But it was nice to see her, drawing with her hands. I love how she just kind of like, I mean, I think she's already in her 40s in this episode, and she's just kind of like, she kind of is like a teenager in so many ways. She's like sitting at her desk, like falling asleep, and like she's like wearing a tracksuit, and like, but she has her face done like perfectly with all like mascara, and like her hair is all done. And
I think normally she doesn't, but because she knew she was being taped, she was like, I gotta make myself up.
Maybe, but it was cute. She's just so like, I don't know. She just reminds me of like a teenage girl in a lot of ways, and that's complimentary. Like, she's very youthful, I think.
They did the interview in a bar that she helps produce for K-pop fans. She's dressed in a kimono, and she's like, "Hello," and I was like, "Oh, is this your true form?" And she's like, "Yes, this is my true form."
She's busy. She's busy, making all those, churning out all those manga, and then doing all that other stuff. And she's got a kid. I did notice that she stood the whole time during their discussion. I felt like that was unfair, but
I think she actually has a tall stool.
Okay, I hope so.
Which is kind of common in bars. It makes sense. You're behind the counter, so you want to be, your customers are sitting down, on a whatever stool, right? But you maybe have a tall stool.
Was that bar? Was that bar? I don't know what the term for is, but those bars that have like the hostess, and they specialize in like long-term patrons.
Oh no, that is not a kabakura or cabaret bar dar.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
I'm not talking about like a hostess bar where it's more like there's one host. It's like a small bar.
A snack.
Okay. Because I was wondering if she was imitating that.
I think so. That she was imitating it.
So that's why maybe why she was standing is that like she's technically like servicing Nakurosawa. Like, I don't know if that was supposed to be like the visual.
I still think he looks like somebody's uncle who strums an acoustic guitar in his aunt's basement or something. Like,
because he is.
Because he is. Like, he's just like that kind of guy. It's so funny. I don't know. He asks really good questions. I have to say, on all of these, he guides the conversations very well. It's enjoyable. They're really enjoyable to watch. You can say whatever you want to say about his manga, good or bad, but I think I kind of like him and his whole shtick.
I enjoy his passion.
Yeah,
he's one of those creators that's a geek of his own genre. Maybe of his own. Maybe he smells his own farts. I'm not sure. We don't really we don't really get that impression so much here. But he definitely smells other people's farts. He definitely loves manga, and he has a few go-to questions. Like, he always talks about like, oh, so you start drawing the face first, you start drawing the eyes first, and like these kind of very simple things, but clearly things that stand out to him. And just hearing him talk shop is always really interesting what he focuses on, because he does it for a living as well.
I really am kind of impressed, kind of blown away and maybe I shouldn't be, but all of these creators were able to just like name drop mangaka and like talk about them and all relate to them in the same way. You know, Urasawa and Higashimura are like different generations. They're like I think a decade apart in age or something like that.
Yeah.
But they were still able to talk about manga that influenced her, and like they both very clearly know their industry really well. And obviously, I guess I shouldn't be so surprised, but it was really cool to kind of watch them talk shop like that.
Oh yeah, that's the appeal of Manben for sure. Listening to the creators actually talk about their influences, their techniques, their struggles, everything. Though Akiko Higashimura doesn't really have that many struggles besides being sleepy.
Well, she's got like 10 assistants and
her workplace is crazy.
I like though that she is she's very receptive to the ideas of her assistants.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool, and they like made a change of the manuscript kind of at the suggestion of one of her assistants. She's like, "Yeah, let's go with that. That's a great idea." Like
the moon, yeah.
Yeah. I think that's really cool, and it's really cool of them to show that and for her to admit that, like, in public on a television program. Like, I think there's some creators who would be like, "Well, it's my work. They're just here, doing my bidding."
She's smart.
She's very smart. She's very smart, and I think there's kind of an impression of her being very like I don't know, she's the boss. She's got so much going on. She's like really fashionable. She's really cool. She's really talented. She's really smart. But she's not like I don't know. I don't feel like she has like a big head or anything. Like she
doesn't have an ego about it.
Yeah, she seems like a really cool person. Which is good. I was, the more I heard about her tangentially, I was like, oh, I don't know. That's the kind of stuff that makes you kind of a jerk or can make you a jerk. But she's very. I think a lot of us who are nerds maybe are too self-deprecating to become that full of ourselves, and some of us I'm sure take it to the other extreme, but
I kind of feel like the Josei crowd keeps her in check because she talks about like she always talks about how people run up to her, like women run up to her and ask her for advice, and like they grab her by the arm and they're like, "Come drink with me, and I need you to talk to me about something." And it's like these people she doesn't really know, but they read her manga and they feel they know her.
Yeah,
and they're really like I feel like that weird sense of like extended community.
I mean, a lot of her manga is based on fiction, nonfiction. She wrote a manga about her dad. She wrote a manga about her son. She wrote a manga about her youth. She's writing, I think she just finished or is currently writing one about her childhood. She makes manga out of everything, not just fictional stories. But she definitely has an opinion, 100%.
Oh yeah, she has opinions, but she's like, it's impressive that she's able to just do that though. Like take everything from her life, take every kind of inspiration, and just go for it. I think that's really somebody at the peak of their game, and it's really impressive that somebody as somebody with small children, it is really impressive that she's doing it with a kid. I know he's probably older now, but I can't imagine doing some of the work she did with a small child around. It's hard.
She has like a hard stop of when she stops working in the afternoon, and then now it's family time. Now I hang out with my child, we do dinner together, we have a bath together. Like she has a 9 to 5 schedule.
Good. That's
which
great.
is why she packs her working space with 10 assistants so they can do it immediately and quickly.
I have to say though, sometimes I think imposing parameters like that, you are actually more productive. There's evidence that like a 4-day work week is you get as much or more done in a 4-day work week than a 5-day work week. And I really think that, like, when you know you have a finite amount of time, you're able to focus better, whereas when you just go and go and go, and you don't really have a deadline or have, like, a stopping point, it doesn't y there's a lot more opportunity to kind of lag behind a little bit.
And I even think that if you finally get off work, and if your brain is not completely like shot, it has the opportunity to like rebuild and just like reacclimate itself to like the stuff you're doing during the
Mhm.
work week, so you're even more efficient next week. Whereas if you kind of like work throughout the whole week, you never have like that opportunity for brain elasticity to like force it,
Yeah.
like create itself.
Well, it's like why sleeping is so important. Your brain has to like rebuild itself in the night. Same thing with just like work and not work. You need time. You need time to chill your brain.
But like she's like making manga is for entertainment, but it's a creative process. And she's able to do that on a schedule, and that's the crazy thing.
You know what's funny? My one of my favorite authors is Terry Pratchett, and he wrote the Discworld series, which is I think like 40 books. And he has written other books besides. He had written other books besides, and he had always he had a schedule. He had, like, I don't know if it was a 9 to 5, but he had a set amount of time every day that was time for writing. He would write, X number of words per day, and then he was done, and, like, that's, like, you it is a creative process, but it's still work, right? So you still have to show up and do the work, and there are so many people who, "Oh, I need the inspiration. Oh, the muse isn't with me," and I sympathize with that. I definitely have had moments where, like, I wish I could be creative, but right now I'm just not feeling it. But the more you do it, the more practice you have, the easier it is to access that, and the easier it is to kind of give yourself those parameters, I think, because you know that you can come back the next day and, you know, do that. There's no fear that you're gonna lose something, right?
Oh, that's something Akiko Higashimura has none of. She is fearless.
Oh, yeah.
The way she like does her ink lines, she knows exactly what she wants. Which is why she was able to do that silhouette with zero sketch.
It's all those fucking lessons in high school with
She
her
knows
sensei.
exactly what she wants. Like compared to the other two manga artists we're going to talk about, she
Yeah.
only had one correction to do. There was only one part where she was like, these eyes weren't quite what I wanted. I'm going to fix this. But even then, she immediately knows what she wants to fix it to.
And when you saw the correction, you could almost just visually see like what was her original train of thought and why she wanted to change it, right? It was like, okay, that is a very clear. Whereas like sometimes when I see corrections, I'm like, all right, that might make sense to an artist. To me, it was like the same before and after. You know, like
She's a master.
100%. I mean, Urasawa said it.
Yeah.
He had no qualms about gassing her up. He was like, "You're incredible," basically.
didn't he start the episode being like, "This person will see right through me. I got to be careful."
Yep.
Yes, yep, and he's right, you know?
Yeah, Dar, do you want to mention anything else specific? I never really threw to you. You've
No,
seen
no,
this before. We've
yeah,
watched this together.
yeah. I've definitely seen this one before. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't think I have anything else to add. I think the most things that stood out to me was the packed assistance room, the finishing multiple pages on deadline day. Like we're just gonna knock out like all these pages.
She's done before her assistants can catch up, and she's just like, just pass me. I'll do this assistant work of like coloring in this one character's like Komodo and the pattern. I'll just do that.
Um, but also seeing like we've mentioned multiple times the final panel with the silhouette where she just said like fuck it we ball like let's just go straight to let's go straight to paper. And like when she first starts doing the first brushstrokes, I'm like, okay, yeah, I can tell that this is like a desperate last attack because you're almost out of time. But then she keeps on going like, oh no, this is actually very like measured and direct. And then when she added like the white outline to it, it's just like, oh, this looks there's nothing about this looks last minute or slapdash. This is actually like a really amazing looking panel, and it was done in a few minutes. So yeah, um, she has like a looser style than some mangaka. I think if you compare her to the other two we watched, there's way less detail in her panels, but you could argue way more expression, and she does it so much quicker. Um, and her stories are pretty dense. It's not like they're just a bunch of single page spreads, 2 page spreads. There's a lot of gags and a lot of
That's where she puts the denseness into comedy.
yeah. Um, so yeah.
I really think, and she has said it, and I mean I don't want to overstate it, but I really think that the rigorous training that she went, her shonen training arc that we saw in Blank Canvas is a big part of her her speed, and it's speed and accuracy, right? Like speed, she has so much well, like you said, she knows what she wants. She has intention and she puts the intention down, and she doesn't have to go over it again and again and again because she's done that already.
Mm-hmm.
She worked hard for years to get to this point. Which they all have worked hard. All the mangaka that we watched, and anybody who's successful, I think. But we've had the privilege of seeing her backstory and knowing exactly what at least what she's told us that she's done. Which you look at that and you look at this and you're like, yeah, there's like a direct line between between that kind of putting in the work, there's talent. She always had talent, right? But that alone is not going to make you a success.
Absolutely. There's one last thing I want to comment on, and I will do this for each of the manga artists we'll talk about. But it's like the technical tools that they use. Number one technical tool for Akiko Higashimura, clipboard. That clipboard, she's like, yeah, I just put all like my papers on a clipboard because that way I don't have to hold down the paper as I'm drawing with my other hand. And also I just take the clipboard with me. Oh, I gotta go out for drinking, friends when I go hang out. I'll take the clipboard with me, I'll storyboard, 3 pages while like I'm having a drink. What a wild ass concept. Let me take my work with me.
She has a strict schedule and she's adhering to it, man.
Yep. And then she uses her G pen, of course, but one thing I thought was interesting in her, in contrast to Kazuhiro Fujita that we'll talk about, is that she does use white ink. Like she straight up dips her pen in white ink to like make those white lines as kind of like accents. I don't think I've seen that with like too many manga artists, especially like the other two that we saw. But there you go. Anything else to say about Akiko Higashimura, Darfox?
I don't believe so.
Okay, let's move along. Morgana, which episode did you watch next?
Fujita, which was the second episode, incidentally, of Manben.
Yeah, so I should have mentioned this at the beginning, but Akiko Higashimura was the first episode of Manben. It aired in 2015. And same with the Kazuhiro Fujita episode 2, also aired in 2015. So, Kazuhiro Fujita, he is best known for creating the shonen battle horror manga Ushio and Tora. It's not available in English, unfortunately, but there was a very good anime.
Very good.
Very good anime. It condenses a lot of the story. You don't get all of it. He also did Karakuri Circus, which also had an anime. And yeah, he's just been doing a bunch of like horror action shonen manga for like 30 years. He was born in 1964. So he's a little closer to age for Naoki Urasawa. And we got to watch him draw The Ghost and the Lady, which we've covered on this podcast. Actually, on that podcast episode, Darfox, if you remember, I brought up the Manben a lot.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Morgana, you finally got to see the episode and Kazuhiro Fujita at work.
I sure did.
What did you think about Mr. Kazuhiro Fujita?
If Akiko Higashimura comes across as a teenage girl, Kazuhiro Fujita comes across as a 12-year-old boy. He has that kind of energy, right? His drawing gives me anxiety.
You mean like it's just, let's fucking go. Okay, let me practice. Let's just go. Let me correct it. Let me go.
Zero sketch, only outline, fucking ink.
It is incredible to watch, though. Like, I could never, but I also kind of appreciate the fact that he's like, I'm gonna fuck it up and I'm just gonna go in with the whiteout and fix it. And he says, he and Urasawa talked about, and I think I mentioned this when we talked about Yobushi Pedal as well. The sketch looks really good, and then you go and take the ink and it just doesn't look as good. And this is a problem that I've had making art, is like I'll sketch something and I really like it, and then I'll go over it with ink and I'm like, oh, this is terrible now. What is that? And I think it's because when you're sketching, it's much more loose, and you're kind of accessing something in yourself, right? Whereas when you're tracing the lines, you are trying to recapture whatever it was you were accessing when you sketched it the first time. I know this sounds very like art school bullshit. It is a little bit. But I can respect his desire to just go for it and make the sketch in ink, basically. Because he's right. Sometimes there's just, it's just how you make something feel more kinetic, maybe feel more authentic. Really incredible process to watch, especially since he puts so much ink down on the paper. I mean, his pages are so dense.
Dense with whiteout, dense with ink.
Yes.
Drawings.
But he so many lines. He uses so many lines on everything, and everything looks good. And when we're first watching him go, I'm like, oh, I don't know if he's I don't know if he's a very good artist, but like, do I really like his art that much? And then when the page is done, I'm like, oh right, no, I really like his art. I think he's a really excellent artist. It's just that, like, as he's building it, it's not done yet. It's really cool to, I guess, see how the sausage is made. But yeah, he gives me anxiety, and the fact that he's like running to deadline, and I can't believe he fixed that one face seven times. At some point I would have given up, but it was really interesting how they noted too that he's really serious about the eyes and the expression of the eyes, and I think they did that in the Higashimura episode, and they also talked about that with Shinichi Sakamoto, how important the eyes are. And
eyes are the windows to the soul.
Exactly. So, and I do think that that's one of the things that really not sets manga apart, but like is a big deal in a lot of manga. And I know this is definitely true about shoujo manga, but I think in general is that there is so much expressiveness in a really good manga. You get a lot of expressiveness in the eyes. I think that's a really important. I think it's culturally important, right? As a medium to manga.
Naoki Urasawa was really praising Fujita's like the way he draws those like eyes of another world.
Yeah, well, because they're really fucking wild looking, right? They're so cool. And I was really tickled to see some Ushio and Tora artwork because, again, it's not available in English. And
the yokai from that series looks so creepy and good.
So good. And the anime, I haven't even finished it, but I saw quite a bit of it, and it's really good. And I think they did a really good job adapting his artwork.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really nice to see what it looked like, in the book.
Yeah, Darfox on stream has up the 7 different rewrites. So, like, total 8 different versions of the face of Dion. So good.
Can I say, and I feel like a jerk saying this, I kind of like the first one the best. I mean, obviously, he went with what he went with. They all look good. There's nothing, but I kind of like that angry face. but it wasn't working for him, and it was not his vision.
It was not the expression that Fujita wanted to express on the page. Morgana, I've watched this episode like 10 times.
Because it's insane?
Because it's so good. I mean, I love Kazuhiro Fujita, and I love his manga, so watching this episode for me, like, speaks to me personally a lot, seeing, like, him create, like, the artwork. Yeah, Morgana, you loved The Ghost and the Lady, and you got to see him draw it, too.
Yeah,
so.
Very cool. And, like, seeing that last, him drawing the last panel.
With chopsticks?
With fucking chopsticks. It looked so cool.
He's like, I just want to show off. And Urasawa's like, man, you just fucking give the readers the best bang for their buck.
Yeah, no, and I thought about that too with each of these, especially with Shinichi Sakamoto, but we'll talk about that. We don't pay enough for manga. We really don't.
We don't.
They put so much fucking work into this.
Fujita says himself, like, manga is something you consume so fast, but it takes so long to, like, create. That's why people should watch Manben and get a little bit of appreciation of, like, the work that goes into it. The struggle of redrawing a face 8 times.
The battle, is that what they called it at the beginning?
Yes.
The battle to find the... I don't remember what it was exactly, but...
I remember the first time I saw this episode, I was shocked at, like, how kind of skinny Kazuhiro Fujita is. Because in his mangas, and when he draws himself, like, as a character in, like, the extra or the after pages, he's kind of, like, portly. And then, like, you see him now, and he's just, like, this skinny grandpa. And now you know why. This man, all his calorie is consumed by his effort to draw these amazing kinetic, like, action scenes.
Well, they were having that conversation about how many calories Naoki Urasawa used up when he was doing sports manga because he would, like, get into it.
Yeah, and now he's, like, can't do it anymore. He's too old to keep it up.
I can't do it. But that's why I think Fujita really has the energy of, like, a tween. He's just, and he's so passionate about shonen manga, which is another, like, it's really adorable. For a guy who makes all this, like, kind of dark, weird, like, twisted shit, he's remarkably, like, I don't know, like, wholesome and like, innocent in a lot of ways, He's like, look, yeah, I got some toys, and he pulls out these, like, little guns out of his,
and he
like,
makes
closet.
that face when he's holding it. It's really funny.
So cute.
The other thing to mention about Kazuhiro Fujita is a lot of his former assistants have gone on to become manga artists themselves. And I think I mentioned this when we did Ghost and the Lady too, but yeah, things like the creator of Flame of Rekka, the creator of Midori Days, the creator of Zatchbell. Actually, that poster that's up in his workspace that says, no silence. I'm pretty sure Makoto Raiku, the creator of Zatchbell, drew that one. Or also Mushibugyo. He's had a ton of assistants go on and have successful manga careers. And it makes sense. Like, he forces, his assistants to talk and be creative. Apparently they watch movies all the time while they work.
And listen to metal.
And listen to metal, and, like, they talk about, like, the movies and see, like, they talk about, what worked, what didn't work for them. And so there's just a lot of input, output that's happening in his workspace that I think helps not just develop your technique on drawing and doing the inking stuff, but also, like, being a creative.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like working for him is like really having a mentor, like a cool, laid-back college professor kind of shit.
Yeah. Darfox, you've seen this episode before.
Yeah.
Multiple times. How was it revisiting the episode on Kazuhiro Fujita?
2 words: mad lad. That is this man. This is probably one of the funner episodes of Manben. Just because it feels a lot more kinetic and a lot more chaotic. But yeah, he's I'm reminded of when you talked about that Oshiri Rensuke manga. What's it called? The one about the manga fighting each other.
Yes.
And his character in that manga, he's like a beast who just wants to consume manga.
His character in that manga is he just shows up and he's like, "Show me what you got, draw." And then like they're all the other manga like artists that are cowering in fear, are like, "Oh, this guy's such a pain in the ass to deal with."
Yeah, I remind that a lot because that like exuberant, like almost obsessive energy that he showcases. But he like Morgana said, he's I almost want to say like tender. Like he's like he just seems like a very nice person.
Genuine.
Yeah. Excited to draw his comics. Um, his paper is probably heavier than any other paper between all the whiteout and ink. If manga was paid by weight, he would win. He would be a millionaire by now.
But also, he's suffering so much as he does it. He's probably struggling the hardest, or visibly the hardest, out of the three that we watch.
I didn't feel like he was like. I mean, on paper it looks like a struggle, but he just seemed like he was just doing it. It seemed effortless, but like from his end.
Well, he's also a master in his own ways, but I can tell not, Akiko Higashimura knew what she wanted. And Kazuhiro Fujita he still struggles every time. He's like, is this what I want? Is this, like, he says it so many times. Manga sure is hard. Manga's so hard. It's so hard making manga.
But he also talks about how he's having fun. And I think they all are, all the artists we watched today are having fun. I think it just comes down to he's a different kind of artist than Higashimura, very much so,
Yeah. To him, it seemed like the tyranny of the white page was like the most important thing to him. Like, if he doesn't start drawing, he won't get anywhere. So he just starts drawing no matter what.
His shitty fucking, like, panel lines.
Love him.
Yeah.
No ruler, just fucking freehand that shit.
He's got like a tissue he's using as a
like a guard. So, like,
yeah, well,
smudge up the page, right?
he was using it as a guard, but I think at one point he also kind of like used it to draw a line.
Yeah.
Oh, really? I must have missed that one. That's funny. He didn't he say that? Yeah, the assistants touched it up later.
Yeah, he's like, oh, my assistants will fix it. It's okay. Then cut to Naoki Urasawa using a ruler to draw out like immaculate like panel lines by himself.
I have to say, I also would hate drawing panel lines. I don't like having to like. I'm so lazy. I don't like having to like make things technically accurate, measuring, making straight lines. I'm like, that's not what I'm here for. Boring. So I feel that the assistants can fix it. It's good for them.
Good practice helps them draw.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you mentioned it, Morgana, but the technical tool, or as Naoki Urasawa calls it, the magical tool, that whiteout little block pen that he uses, it's fascinating to watch Kazuhiro Fujita. Like, he inks a bunch of shit, and then he starts erasing a bunch of shit. And he says he likes the process of whittling down the ink lines with the white and erasing them. And that's like, it's like double the work. But it makes sense for him why he just draws so much freehand. And yet, he has his no fear in that sense where I don't care if I draw something and I don't like it, I'll just erase it. And then, of course, the chopsticks at the end.
Yeah.
And a lot of like the brush pen where he just starts like doing ink brush as well.
The chopsticks were like the cherry on top. Because like the whole episode, you're like, this guy's kind of crazy. It's kind of cool, and then he busts out the chopsticks. There was definitely like some theatrics to that. Like let's really give these people a show.
He wants to give the readers as much entertainment as he can.
Some people will say that an artist is only as good as their tools, and my advisor in college said that that's bullshit. The best tools are the ones that work for you.
Yep.
And he used to be like, try anything. He was a sculptor, so it's a little bit different. But he would, if you gave him a chopstick, he would absolutely find a way to use it. Like that's the kind of artist that he is, and I think that that's a really I think it's good to be adaptable, right? I think it's good to not just be like, I need to buy my art supplies from from the art store, and they have to be the best, and they have to. It's like, no, you use what works, what gives the impression that you want, the result that you want, and if that's a chopstick, well, so be it.
Or his finger.
Yep.
Because I'm pretty sure he was. This was the episode right there. He was like dabbing.
Yeah, he was
Like
smearing that black ink with his fucking like index finger or something.
That drawing was one of the best examples, because sometimes when I watch the show, like I don't see how this is coming together, and at the end you see it, and like that came together really well. That was
Yeah.
a good example. It's like, it's just like I can see where the face structure is, but the hat looks funky. I don't, but I'm like, give it a few minutes, and it's like, this is like a dope fucking drawing. That's like a dope page of manga.
Fujita was also the only person who was using like a posing figure.
Yeah, a really cool one.
Something that you can like, lock all the joints and like put it into whatever pose you need to.
But also, to be fair, like his people were in crazy poses in this comic.
Yes.
Like almost inverting like their bodies, or like putting their feet up by their head and shit like that. The other ones were pretty much way more straightforward.
I mean, he's drawing action manga, and so yeah, it makes sense that he has the figurine for like action scenes to see like what they look like. His action scenes are amazing. He's such a good artist. Morgana, is there anything I missed that we haven't talked about?
I don't think so. I mean, I think we basically covered the fact that he's a mad little imp who makes some really badass manga, and I mean, I don't know how he does it. He seems to run off tea and shonen power.
Yep. Okay, I guess we'll move along to our final episode that we watched. This is technically Manben Neo. After the 4 seasons of Manben, they took a break, and then Naoki Urasawa came back with Manben Neo, which is currently airing now. This episode is from 2020, and it was with Shinichi Sakamoto, who was, during this episode, was creating #DRCL Midnight Children. And we got to see Naoki Urasawa really just kind of step into the seat of like someone who is just observing, because Shinichi Sakamoto is full digital, and we got to see his digital process. I'm going to turn to Darfox first this time.
I feel like this guy uses the full digital buffalo.
Seriously,
he does not like, he, like every single process or idea you could do with digital, like the layers and like the fact that I'm just jumping straight in. The fact that he like has like hair presets. He drew the hair one time and saved the hair.
That made so much sense for him.
It's crazy.
Yes.
Like, but also like, and this just goes to like how my brain works, because I'm not like an artist. But I do, like, I'm definitely like a fidgeter, and I like creating stuff and playing with stuff, and like I would see that, and I feel like I was getting frustrated watching it, because I feel like that's more work than just drawing it. You should just draw it from scratch, but that's clearly not the case, because the bouquets of hair that these people have is just ridiculous, and how the way he would combine the different like presets and blend them together. Again, when he starts doing it, it looks all wrong. It's like that person looks like the hair's falling off their head. He's not fixing it, but then like he keeps on going, and he connects it, and he starts erasing half of it, and he adds way more detail to it, and I'm like, holy shit, that's like the most intricate head of anime hair that you've seen in a long time. And he just like created it with like presets and a lot of like editing and stuff, but like it's just like, yeah, this is a really great contrast with the other two, because the other two, they feel like they're just a personification of the pen to paper art. um like God is in the stroke, and it's passing through them. And here it's just completely different vibe. It's still incredible art, and it's still an incredible artist, but it's just a completely different idea, the way he's crafting these images through these layers using digital reference photography that he took himself just minutes beforehand with his assistant, tracing over it and then modifying it. Like it's just it really is, you know, um a really unique um process compared to the last two we saw, which were both different, but like, they felt like they're from the same planet, maybe just completely different continents. This felt like it was a different planet a lot of times.
Yeah, I have not seen this episode before until until I watched it for this podcast episode. But holy crap, I was just like, it makes so much sense why everything is so detailed in Shinichi Sakamoto's work, and it makes so much sense why it takes so long for chapters to come out.
Yeah, he wasn't slapping these images together really quick. I was always shocked when they just said like 16 hours. I'm like, oh shit, this man like spent like basically a whole day
On a panel.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, and the fantasy of like digital allowing you to copy paste and move stuff around, making things quicker. I mean, yeah, if it could probably, if you're doing something really simple, but this art seems intricate, and it is intricate to create.
Yeah, I feel like in the past I have said and do say things about this that seem disparaging of digital art, and I want to be clear. There's a lot of digital art in manga that is very spare, and that's not a thing I'm particularly interested in. Shinichi Sakamoto's art is not spare. It is anything but spare. There is so much detail and so much work. And what's wild to me is that he's all digital now, but he wasn't always digital. And they talked about that other that adaptation that he made of that memoir.
Ah, yes. Kodoku no Hito. I read that manga.
Yes, is it good?
Yes.
I bet it is. So he did that in ink, and he did it with a fucking brush. The same level, I think, of detail. I mean, not as much lace as his like Innocent or Dracula, but the same level of detail as his digital work, but done with a brush pen, which is insanity. And just like, I mean, he's just so incredible, and so like. And he's this killed me. He did not go to art school.
No, he's self-taught.
He is self-taught. They didn't say whether or not Fujita was went to art school or self-taught. We obviously know. I don't think they said. I don't remember hearing that he was that he went to art school. We know that Higashimura did. He's self-taught, and he's just and the difference. The visual difference between the work from that adaptation onward to the work he was doing before that is so fascinating.
Yes.
He just really wanted to draw muscly men.
Yeah.
He loved Fist of the North Star. His debut manga looked like fucking Fist of North Star ripoff. It was great.
And I love how Urasawa was able to tie his love of Fist of the North Star into his influence even now. If you handed me Fist of the North Star and Innocent, I wouldn't necessarily go, these are the same thing. You know what I mean? But there is an influence there, and it's really cool to see how artists draw from their influences even when their work is so different.
Oh yeah, like Fujita said, the way he draws shoulders is inspired by Monkey Punch and Lupin III. And Akiko Higashimura said, like, the way she jams a bunch of comedy into a single panel is based on that comedy manga she really likes.
Yeah, I was surprised by the Lupin comment too, and not surprised really, but I was like, oh, I wouldn't have drawn that comparison, but now that you say it,
Didn't Urasawa also compared Kazuhiro Fujita to like Tezuka manga,
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
which I thought was interesting, and they had a discussion about like the way Tezuka, presents, the story and the panels and how he represents that.
Was it the Shinichi Sakamoto one where they mentioned the Three Kingdoms manga? Or I think it was because
I
that was
think wasn't that Akiko Higashimura in the Three Kingdoms manga?
was it? It was referencing like the beautiful men.
That might have been Higashimura, but
It was Higashimura, like how like the Three Kingdoms manga, like with so few ink strokes, like all those men are hot.
oh
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. It was interesting for me with this Shinichi Sakamoto episode. They get into the nitty gritty of his like digital like techniques and styles, but they've had other episodes on different manga artists who do use digital tools. Like the Inio Asano one was very much like, oh, Inio Asano is known for his hyper detailed backgrounds, and you can see how he does it. Or stuff like Kengo Hanazawa also does a lot of reference photos that he takes on digital camera and then incorporates them as like references for like when he draws stuff for I'm a Hero. But Shinichi Sakamoto was interesting. They got into the layering process. You saw him use his Photoshop tools to kind of like change the size of the eyes, like in this thing that Darfox has of Lucy up on the stream. And just redrawing and yeah, the hair thing I think is the major thing. The fact that he does have like all his hairstyles saved in a folder, and then he just like, okay, let me take this part and this part and this part, and just kind of like repositioning them to like get in a good place. The way Shinichi Sakamoto uses his pen too is surprising. He doesn't draw big strokes because he's not using a paper with dynamic lines. He draws a shit ton of like 5-6 lines for each part, like slowly filling in the ink line.
mm-hmm.
Super zoomed in. I thought that was really interesting. Morgana, what did you think of Shinichi Sakamoto stuff? Some stuff that I didn't mention already.
I mean, he's also insane.
I mean, yeah, the fact that he spent what he's like this day, Mr. Sakamoto worked on 2 panels, and it's like holy
It was
shit.
like it was 8 hours for one page, and that's when my brain went, we do not pay enough for manga. That is so much work, and he did the page I'm thinking of is the one with Lucy in shadow, and he kind of duplicated the first page, the first panel.
Mm-hmm.
But he still went and did a ton of work after the fact. So it's not like, I mean, and that's, I feel like Darfox was saying, he uses the full gamut of the tools available to him, but that doesn't make it take any less time or make it any less like labor intensive. He is very, very particular. I enjoyed the conversation they had about how sometimes the digital, not having the constraints of paper and pen means that there is no natural end point.
Yeah, the paper doesn't eventually rip because you fucking like erased and like drawn on it so many times.
Yeah, like you could just keep going forever and ever and ever with digital. You can just keep tweaking and changing, and and that's kind of maddening in and of itself. It was a real pleasure. I mean, to watch. I mean, for all of these, it was a real pleasure to watch them draw. There is a different kind of pleasure in watching digital art being rendered as opposed to analog art. I like what was he saying? Oh, Urasawa said in the Fujita episode that part of the concept of Manben was the swish 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 of the pen, which you can't hear in his studio because they're all talking and listening to metal music.
They're too noisy.
But the same deal with Shinichi Sakamoto is like, it's very quiet where he is, but like there's, you know, it's
a thump, thump, thump
yeah.
from the pad.
And I really want to know what his assistants do other than pose in lingerie.
Yeah, right.
I mean, there are, you know, backgrounds that get done. There are digital oh, what's the word?
Screen tone?
Yes, thank you, screen tone. So there's stuff in there that they can do. I just like he spends so much time putting in so much detail that like, are they really just there to like be models and then they can go home? Because that's cool.
Well, it seemed like they built. He was working on that 2-page spread of like the graveyard scene, and it was
Yeah.
very detailed. So I think they were doing stuff like that, and it looked
Probably.
very impressive. Yeah.
But you know, with the others, you got to see a lot more assistants doing their job.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I guess we did to see that assistant wearing the fancy lace, and it was really cool how he's so dedicated that he's like, I went out and bought an actual real antique piece of clothing.
No, that's fine. He made the other stuff.
I
That
know.
was the impressive thing. Yeah.
That's also impressive. I mean, the dedication, you know. I was, you know, he mentioned his wife at one point, and I was like, "You have a wife? Do you have children? I want to know what your life is like. I'm deeply curious about like, because he's such an odd person. There, I mean, again, they're all odd, but like, he seems so normal. Like he talks like such a normal I mean, this is the Junji Ito effect too, you know, just kind of a regular guy, and then the stuff he makes is fucked up. Innocent is fucked up, you know.
Oh yeah.
What makes you want to tell the story of an executioner and put in that much torture and gore and make everything so beautiful? And I say this as somebody who is, you know, I mean, this is my catnip, right?
You like Shinichi Sakamoto.
I do. I really like his work, and he just seems like kind of a regular guy, except that he's really obsessed with his work, which is like not atypical. Like a lot of people are really into their job, but his job just happens to be really wild.
Oh yeah. He is having a ball though.
Oh yeah, he says as much.
I felt like out of the three of them, he is the one who's having the most fun. Like it looks like he's like meticulously redrawing things, you know, trying different hairstyles, trying to find what works. But he said it himself, like, I have all these tools for unlimited like potential, and it's just like you see him like redo the hairstyle, so it's kind of similar to Fujita having to redraw that face. But it's the creative process is just like he's enjoying it, and he's able to take his time. I think that's the most important aspect about Shinichi Sakamoto doing DRCL right now. It runs in Grand Jump magazine, which is a monthly magazine, first of all, and he doesn't even do a chapter every issue. He has time to just make the chapters, and it gets put out when it's finished. And I think that's why we get such good high detail in DRCL.
Frankly, if any editor was like, no, you have to turn your work around on a faster schedule, I don't think they understand this creator or his artwork. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
he can't. And I think there are many creators for whom that is the case. But I don't think we would get the quality of the work from him. We probably wouldn't get any work from him.
Well, also, thank goodness he's established after Innocent as like someone who makes beautiful art, and like that's the appeal. So, you know, luckily the publishers are like, well, yeah, this is what we want, so we're gonna allow you a schedule where you can do that. Which is not the case for most people, unfortunately, especially new people. Dar, do you have anything else that you want to mention about Shinichi Sakamoto?
What I've never like drawn digitally, so like I really don't get it. But when you mentioned the way how he draws short lines that add up into like main lines.
Mm-hmm.
That is one of the things about digital that like I could never see where they're going with something when they're drawing digital. Um, and I guess I shouldn't say digital as that's like generalizing, but like this is one of those cases where like such small things add up to um such big and complete images, um, and that is my main takeaway of watching this one. It's almost like a machine, and I don't say that to try and take away any artistic integrity from it. I say that it means that like it's a machine where like almost every single thing he does is like a cog, and it all works together.
He is a technician.
Yeah.
And he didn't he fucking learned it himself. Did he watch YouTube tutorials? Like what the fuck happened? Like,
he read Fist of the North Star. He was like muscles.
yeah.
That's how he did it, Dar.
But he always had a really high level of detail. I mean, he always was really kind of particular about that. I mean, I think that's very much an influence of Fist of the North Star, which is dense, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just love that he's like, I just really wanted to draw muscles, and now he's like drawing waifs,
Yeah.
like gay waifs everywhere. I have to admit, and this is my shame, I was a little surprised to discover he had a wife. Just kind of assumed he was not straight. He might not be, I suppose. But I was like, really? Okay. Like I said, seems like such a normal guy.
There's a theme in a lot of his manga where women are like scary and very powerful. So in the climbing manga, like the fucking one female character is basically like represented as a praying mantis, like coming to suck the life out of the climber main character.
Maybe that's something he's into, you know? Powerful women and wafy boys.
I'll say.
I mean, same, frankly.
Okay, so we've talked about Shinichi Sakamoto. I guess Naoki Urasawa didn't have too much to comment on him besides like the origins of a Fist of the North Star. He's mostly like impressed by. They were talking about like the potential of like doing things digitally, how you can redraw things, cut and paste things, mostly like that.
There's no end to it, they said in despair.
Yep. Do it forever.
But they also said that it's fun. Drawing is fun, and I think it's good to hear that people who are so well established do what they do because they enjoy it and are able to still enjoy it. I think so frequently, you know, when your job is a creative one, it's very easy to become disenchanted with it. And you know, obviously they're doing this for TV. They don't not necessarily being truthful, but it seems like they are having fun. You know what I mean? Like to put in that level of detail and to spend that amount of time on something. Like if you didn't like your job, you just fudge it, right?
Oh yeah.
He ain't fudging it.
I think for contrast, next time we do this, we should watch the Kengo Hanazawa one.
No. Dar, no, listen. There's a Manben episode on Inio Sano, Kengo Hanazawa, and Shuzo Oshimi. We could literally do the trifecta of Morgana's fucking hate.
I'm not saying we should, or I'm not saying we'd have to do that, but I'm saying Kengo Hanazawa, a large part of the episode is him in crunch up at like 3 a.m. He has to finish this before sunrise, and it is like the exact opposite of like this, like what was oh fuck, who answered the phone and talked to the editor?
That was Fujita.
Fujita, yeah, like it was really like oh sorry, yeah, we're a little behind, but we're putting finishing touches, we'll be good. It was like pretty painless, right, overall, but like Kenko Hanazawa is like struggling, and now Kurosawa is just laughing at him the whole time watching the footage of him struggling. I don't know, I think that was really funny.
They've probably all been there at least once, you know.
Everyone's been there once. They
And
just happen to
then
catch it on film.
and then you learn to do it, not do it again. You know what I mean? Like if you're smart.
If you're smart.
Listen, I think this this version of Manben was Machinations was a huge success. If we do another one, we should do fucking veterans, like classic veterans. Because there's an episode on. They just put out an episode on Shigeru Mizuki. I think that's coming out next. And then you could do Tetsuya Chiba, who did, Tomorrow's Joe. And maybe throw in, like, Takao Saito of Gogo 13.
Yeah,
So
that's a good one.
how did they do Mizuki?
I don't know. I think
'Cause
they
he's
did
passed.
a Osamu Tezuka one recently, and I think they talked to his son.
Mm.
So it might be family members or something.
But they don't have the footage of them working in the studio.
Maybe they found like
of
old
archive.
footage
Yeah.
of like some work. I don't know. I'd have to watch it to see. But yeah.
Well, I'd love to see it.
Yeah, Morgana, it sounds like you enjoyed this the way of like watching the multiple episodes and kind of comparing the styles here.
Yes, it helps that these are all like 3 artists I really love. And it's fascinating to see the things that unite them as well as the things that differ between them all. That being said, I think I'd still be interested in watching these even about creators I'm not as invested in, just because like I don't know, it's so interesting how like I think it's easy to think of any industry as kind of being a monolith, right? Like, oh, this is how manga's made, this is how, it's done. And it's like, no, with as many people as make a thing, there are as many different ways of making the thing, right?
Oh yeah. Especially since the first time we did this, we only watched Wataru Watanabe. And that by itself was very shocking.
Speaking of people who are insane, but that's what I'm saying. Like I feel it really drives home the fact that these are artists, and that title comes with all the baggage too of like artists are kind of crazy, they're kind of weird, and I say this as somebody who studied art in college. Okay, we're nuts. It's really I mean this is complimentary. It's really enjoyable to see them see the quirkiness and the adaptability and the solutions they've come up with to make their work and to succeed.
Yeah, it's the appeal of this television show for sure. Every episode you get a really close look at a different manga artist, see their process, see their tools, see their influences, talk about what they, struggle with, what they work on. It's very fascinating, and for manga heads, it's like catnip.
Yes.
Absolutely. Oh, I guess like throughout this episode, I've been giving like each of these manga artists like a single word title. Like Akiko Higashimura is master, Shinichi Sakamoto is like technician. I guess for Kazuhiro Fujita, I'm gonna just call him worker. This man working.
Yeah.
Darfox, did you have a favorite episode? Shall we rank these?
I don't know if I want to rank him, but like I can very easily say that the Fujita episode is my favorite just because of his energy.
And his struggle with that fucking face that he has to keep redrawing.
Yeah.
Morgana, did you like a certain episode the most?
They were all really good, really interesting. This is hard because, like I said, these are all like some of my favorite artists. I think what I will say is that I would most have wanted to be, I think, at the interview portion with Fujita because, like you said, like Darfox said, he's the energy of it. He seems like a really fun person.
I want to be in that room while they're making manga. Like I feel like that would be
Yeah.
fun. Like everybody else, like I don't want to disturb them. I don't like
Right,
I don't want to trip over. I don't want to make like one of Akaki Higashimura's 10 assistants trip over me and fall and drop ink on her. Like it just seems like people at work and I can fuck it up somehow. But with Fujita, just like they're just kind of like just chilling.
just
They're
buddies.
talking.
They're
Yeah.
buddies making some mangoes. Yeah. On the flip side, if you hung out with Shinichi Sakamoto, he might put some lace on you and make you pose. So
That's fun.
that would
That's
be fun, you know.
He probably doesn't get a lot of body types like me, so he might actually say like, actually, I need a bunch of reference photos from you. So like, yeah, I got you.
Yeah, you know, get it, stock up, right? Yeah, I think. I mean, I think it would be fun to be in any of their studios. It'd be interesting, but I think, yeah, you're right. Like being with Fujita, it would be like hanging out with a bunch of weebs at a convention or something. It would just be like, you know, just
Yeah.
just some friends talking manga, movies, and stuff. But I mean, honestly, like they were all great. I mean, I enjoyed them all very much. I watched the Shinichi Sakamoto one last night when I was like super tired, and I was like, you know what? Okay, I'll just watch like half of it, and then I'll watch the rest in the morning
You
or
watched the whole
something.
thing.
I watched the whole thing. It wasn't even that late. I mean, it was just that I haven't been getting a lot of sleep this week, and I was like, I should really go to bed early. But no, I watched the whole thing because I couldn't stop. I was like, yeah, I'll stop soon. Oh, but look, what is he doing now? Oh, cool. You know. So yeah, it's a great idea. I mean, for if nothing else, Naoki Urasawa. My favorite Naoki Urasawa manga is Manben. I think it's the best project he's ever done.
It's a good project. It's a good TV show. And it's great for us manga heads. Yeah, I already mentioned Fujita. I've watched the Fujita one like 10 times. I'll probably watch 10 more times.
There's something very appealing about it. About him.
You said it, Morgan. His process, watching him draw is crazy.
It's anxiety inducing. I couldn't do it.
But yeah, we had a great time discussing these 3 Manben episodes. And hopefully people like listening to our discussion and people will go check out Manben as well. You can watch it legally off of NHK. Not the episodes we talked about, but there are other ones that we talked about, like the Wataru Watanabe one that's still up. People should check out Manben. If you like manga and you want to see your manga artists working, see what it's like, watch Manben. It's very, very fascinating and entertaining to watch. Okay, I think we'll go ahead and end this episode now. Thank you to Darfox and Morgana for joining me this week. Shout out to John and Chris from Canada who are in our YouTube chat. You can catch the VOD of this live recording on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/MangaMacTV. Make sure you subscribe. While you're at it, make sure to subscribe to MangaMac Watches, where we're doing anime episode commentary. Reminder, next week we're doing a cat triple dip. We'll be reading Breakfast with My Two-Tailed Cat, Yankees, and Nekogahara. Stay tuned for that. If you enjoyed Manga Machinations, make sure you subscribe to us, review us, rate us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever else you can find us. And hey, if you review us, make sure you send us an email to mangamachinations@gmail.com with the subject title 500 giveaway, so you can enter our episode 500 giveaway and win a copy of Panorama of Hell, Invisible Parade, From This Flame, and Children of Mootown. The manga prizes are subject to change. Let's see. Check out our website, mangamachinations.com. Our Tumblr is mangamachinations.tumblr.com. Come join us on our Discord server. Just head over to discord.me/mangamac. We're still playing Mahjong every Monday. It's a good time. Come join us. Come talk to us. If you want to support Manga Machinations, you can buy us a coffee. Head over to ko-fi.com/mangamac. And you can buy us a coffee so we can buy more manga to talk about on this podcast. Make sure to follow us on social media at MangaMac Podcast. That's Manga MAC Podcast. That's for Instagram, Blue Sky, Twitter, Threads, everything else. And you can also follow my social media at DocZoo. Follow Darfox at Darfox8. And follow Morgana at Morgana Relita. Alright, everyone. Thank you so much for listening to us this week. Bye-bye.